earlier, this one is going to be divided into two. And this plenary is looking at the challenges and successes of sustainability in the diamond industry and beyond. Now, before we move on, just for me to make sure that everybody is still here and we're ready for a good participatory second plenary session, can we please all stand on our feet? And put our phones down on the tables. Okay, fantastic. Quick stretch. I know we're streaming this live all over the world, but it's all right. We all need to be here. We need to be present, right? Quick stretch. All the way up, all the way up. Yeah? Fantastic. How's everybody feeling now? Fantastic. Please take your seat. With that, I'd like to remind you that we are streaming live pretty much across the world. You can also interact during the sessions if you want to share some key insights that you feel are worth sharing. Please remember it's at De Beers Group. That's the Twitter handle for the De Beers Group, as well as the Instagram handle. Hashtag is hashtag Diamond Conference, hashtag BW Diamond Conf, right? Hashtag BW Diamond Conf. That's at De Beers Group on both Instagram and Twitter. Let me now hand back to our moderator for today, Mr. Joel Makower.
Thank you. So we had, before the break, we had sort of a high-level view about sustainable development and the goals and how we think about them and sort of what's going on out there in the world. But now we're going to get closer to the ground, or maybe in this industry, in the ground, as we look at the diamond industry. And we're going to have 5 perspectives on what both success stories from different parts of the diamond industry value chain, but equally important, some of the challenges that are being faced in taking on and looking at and implementing the sustainable development at writ large. So the first of those is going to be, I ask you to join me in welcoming to the stage the Executive Chairman of De Beers Consolidated Mines, South Africa, Mr. Barend Petersen.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good day to you all. I'm honored to have been given the opportunity to attend and present at the second Botswana Diamond Conference. I'm also very much encouraged by the presence of colleagues and stakeholders across the SADC countries, considering our very strong presence as De Beers in the region. As some of you may be aware, I'm a strong proponent of a regional approach as far as De Beers' drive to socio-economic development in the region is concerned. I believe that we have more to benefit if we can make this the norm rather than the exception. Sustainability and sustainable development has been core to De Beers' business models, and this is actually expressed by Sir Ernest Oppenheimer way back in 1954, when some of us were a thought to others. When he says, the aims of the group have been, and they still remain, to earn profits, but to earn profits in such a way as to make a real and permanent contribution to the communities where we operate. In recent times, we've gone a step further by expressing this is one of our 5 core values: show we care. Aligning to the sustainability goals has therefore not been a challenging task for us as De Beers. Considering the many developmental interventions that we've been involved with over many years in South Africa, Namibia, Canada, Botswana, and beyond. During 2016, a considerable amount of work has been done through the Best Practice Principles program to benchmark activities across the value chain that we are already supporting the Sustainable Development Goals. Having presence in a number of jurisdictions is no simple feat and requires an intimate knowledge of the environment, the people, and their aspirations. Let me be blunt. Sustainability is not easy to achieve. It requires concerted effort and the active involvement of all role players and stakeholders. As the beers, we have learned over the years, and the following are some of the success factors and challenges I would like to share with you today on our journey to sustainability. With focus on success, the first is definitely partnerships. It is our belief that the BS is a company that has managed to operate through 129 years. I'm sure the BS is older than most of us here. Primarily due to the formidable partnership that we've been able to establish over the years. But let's also acknowledge it's not all about commercial imperatives. As we continue to work with our partners to minimize the impact of our mines on land, water, wildlife, plants, and in particular, people and their way of life. The investment in moving aggregation from London to Botswana, the launch of the SS Neoma in partnership with the government of the Republic of Namibia, and the investment in Venetia Mine, South Africa, are indeed testament to the enabling partnerships that we have in our host communities. And let me add, as the Beers, we believe that the diamond business, like mining business, is a long-term business. We are currently investing in Venetia, in one of our operations, $2 billion. First cash to flow around 2022, extending the life of mine to 2043, when most of us will not be present in the form we are today. The long-term nature of this business requires us to have a long-term commitment to our host countries and our people. So beyond the borders of Southern Africa, we've recently launched the world's largest new diamond mine, Gahcho in Canada, in partnership with Mountain Province Diamonds. In marketing, we have established a partnership with 6 other diamond companies through the Diamond Producers Association, with the aim to maintain enhanced consumer demand for and confidence in diamonds. And finally, we have secured a 3-year partnership with the UN Women to accelerate the advancement of women across our organization, an issue that is close to our heart and close to the heart of Bruce Cleaver, our CEO, who was named as one of the UN Women He for She thematic champions. Our partnership across industry and beyond sets ever higher ethical standards, providing confidence to generations of consumers. There are a number of ways in which we strive to understand the priorities of our partners and stakeholders, primarily through the socio-economic assessment toolbox. We are able to better understand communities and government priorities and how to best avoid or mitigate adverse social impacts. We believe that we can only continue to enhance local relationships by working to develop and build transparent and responsive engagement processes, and by ensuring that the way our programs are planned and developed is fully participative. Diamonds are a catalyst for creating shared value and delivering socio-economic benefits in the countries and communities where we operate. And the operative word here is shared values. In other words, values stakeholders collectively share. In the BS, we call this building forever. We will be continuously building. And as stated in our report to society, there is a powerful mutual interest in all our working partnerships. We rely on access to our partners' natural resources, and our partners relies on our proven ability to drive revenue and create socio-economic benefits from that resource. Mining, by its nature, is an industry that has an impact on the safety of its employees, the environment, water, and communities. For the diamond industry, consumer confidence is at the heart of the demand for diamonds. Without consumer demand, we will lose our principal source of value, because diamonds represents that moment in life when a relationship is cemented by the exchange of a precious stone, where one party says to each other in love, like the diamond, our relationship will be forever. And how do we build this trust? Through ensuring that through our best practice principles, we can provide assurance on a set of mandatory environment, social and ethical requirements that apply to our own operations, as well as to those of our siteholder customers and diamond contractors. This is more relevant now with the emerging influence of millennials, who put a great premium on authenticity and transparency. I've mentioned earlier that we've done some work in benchmark activities across the value chain that are already supporting the Sustainable Development Goals during 2016. And I thought it's prudent to give you some practical examples of what we as the BS have been doing aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. Project Monera, in which the BS scientists have recently discovered that kimberlite is one of the best minerals on the planet for sequestering carbon through mineralization. This pioneering work allowed the group and allows the group to become carbon neutral and potentially carbon positive. The BS, as a leader, is one of the first businesses globally to undertake such an approach. Quality education. The BS, as part of the Anglo-American group, has embarked on a project whose objective is on inclusive and quality education for all children living close to the Americans, Anglo-American and the BS South African operations. The plan is to refocus our education interventions on basic education, including early childhood development, in a more holistic, systemic strategy that focuses on learning outcomes. We believe in people. We believe in the potential of people, and we will do our best to ensure that we provide opportunities to those who otherwise would not have been able to do so. Through our Zamalia Enterprise Development Initiative, the BS has created 3,000 jobs and funded 280 SMMEs in communities where we operate since 2009. In partnership with the Department of Health, EOH, and the South African Business Coalition of Health and AIDS, to provide health screening in the mining communities of Messina and Blouberg, where the BS Venetia mine is located. There are free health screening for communities and employees, include blood pressure, TB, diabetes, HIV/AIDS, cancer screening, and mammograms for women through partnership with a Pink Drive. The significance of this project is the health screening focus not only on our employees, but for the first time included members of our communities. With these few examples, I hope I've demonstrated how we as a company are doing our best to ensure sustainable development, working in partnership with our partners and communities. Ladies and gentlemen, sustainability is a team effort and one that requires committed partners. Partners who are actively involved in building trust and working in tandem to realize the collective shared values. What we, however, need to bear in mind is that mining and sustainable development, as I said before, are long-term projects. Sustainable development requires us to focus beyond opportunistic solutions based on shallow analysis. And we, as the BS, are up for the journey, as we have been for the past 129 years. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Barend. Next up, we're going to hear from Iris van der Veken, who is the Director of Public Affairs and Policy International at the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center. It's going to talk about how to get more meaningful business engagement in sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals, and what is the business case. Please welcome Iris van der Veken.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you this morning. On behalf of DMCC, we thank the beers and we welcome the opportunity to be here in beautiful Botswana to join the discussion on the Sustainable Development Goals. The UAE and Africa enjoys a strong bilateral relationship, one that we must nurture like our children, to ensure a sustainable future of trade for all of us, upstream and downstream throughout the entire supply chain. As always, in a room full of stakeholders from all over the world, I would be remiss in not using this opportunity to say a few words about Dubai Multi-Commodities Center. DMCC is a market maker for global trade and enterprise. We provide all the products, services, physical and financial infrastructure business needs to trade with confidence. Whether it's in terms of the DMCC free zone, which today is home over 14,100 companies, or in terms of the community that today houses over 92,500 people. Or in the unique property developments that we continue to bring to market to grow our free zone. Or in terms of DMCC being seen as de facto facilitator and regulator of trade in key commodity sectors that are important for the UAE, such as precious metals, diamonds, tea, coffee, and food and agri-trade. Or in financial services, where our exchange, DGCX, does underlying trades of some $400 billion annually. Or where we provide unique platforms that support trade through the finance. Or, last, in terms of fintech developments such as blockchain technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 3 years, we have been ranked the #1 free zone in the world by the Financial Times FDI magazine. Our mandate is simple: to facilitate trade through Dubai and to connect markets. In pursuit of this goal, we have worked tirelessly and with much success to establish and evolve trade relationships in countries such as China, India, and of course, Africa. If you're in the business of facilitating trade, efficient, steady, and sustainable supply chain management is vital to success, and therefore, a keen to understanding of how supply is moved around the world to meet demand is crucial. It's a complex exercise that cannot be done in isolation. Cross-collaboration and partnerships are key. And that brings me to the heart of the discussion today, the Sustainable Development Goals. It was only 3 weeks ago that we had a leading discussion at the Dubai Diamond Conference with the DPA, CPO, GGPC, Signet, De Beers, RJC, UNGC, on how these 17 goals are designed to produce structural change that will last and how we need to accelerate efforts. These 17 goals are about people and leaving no one behind. They're about prosperity between countries, industries, companies, in order to close the gap that's opened by inequality. Some concluding points at the conference was, 1, there's an accelerated shift towards corporate social responsibility in the diamond industry. Business as usual is not an option. A lot of good work has been done. An example is the best practice principles from De Beers, who has been transformative in positive impact. CPO, for example, has taken leadership on carbon neutrality. But what is next? 2, we are at a historical momentum to take the SDGs framework to make a shift. A fundamental rethink is required of the role of the diamond business in society. How can we pull in more players, especially the midstream that are the vast majority of companies, and share value throughout the chain from mine to market? How can we meet and exceed the consumer expectations to enhance trust in our products, attract new markets? The winds of change need to move along the pipeline. It's about economic viability for all the players. It's about not leaving anyone behind. It's about business, social, and environmental responsibilities. These 17 goals require more focused collaboration than ever to enhance a community of confidence, build new markets, create impact for the most vulnerable. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a consumer to attract, a youngster who's looking for purpose. And last but not least, data reporting is critical. Benchmarking with other industries, reporting to progress needs focus. Health and prosperity of businesses and societies are interdependent in the long run. We believe that most people in this room will agree that the challenges we face in achieving the SDGs are immense. According to the World Bank, today over 767 million people still live in extreme poverty. By 2030, an estimate 62% of the global poor will live in fragile environments. This is morally unacceptable, and this will require more development assistance, but more important, it will require deep reforms that attract the private sector, investment, unlock the potential of entrepreneurship, and create decent jobs. We, as Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, embrace the discussion today in Botswana with a focus on women empowerment, as we're here to learn, to connect, and partner with you, as one thing is for sure. The scope, the scale, and the complexity of the economic and social transformation to come will be such that no sector, no government, no civil society or academia will be able to manage this transformation alone. We're going to need some surprising alliances that bring different sectors together if we want to overcome these challenges. And this requires systematic change that enhances the business case. A good example, for example, is Unilever, that has found that its sustainable living brands are growing 30% faster than the rest of its business, and in 2015 delivered nearly half the company's total growth. Allow me to share another example in the cocoa industry. In 2013, Oxfam highlighted a campaign that the 3 largest cocoa buyers in the world, Mars, Mondelez, and Nestle, were unable to demonstrate that they understood the roles played by women in their supply chains, despite women being critical in the production process. For example, according to Harvard research, in Ghana, dramatic gender gaps exist. Female farmers have levels of productivity and income 20 to 30% below those of male counterparts. This is due to having less access than men to agricultural training, 25% less, or credit, 20% less, or being less able to use crucial farm inputs such as fertilizer, 30 to 40%. Meaningful commitments were made and action on the ground had been taken. Oxfam facilitated a multi-stakeholder process with the big cocoa companies and traders to identify emerging good practices in empowering women farmers and implement equality systematically into their operations. Distinguished guests, when women have control over their income or family earnings, they're able to reinvest in their families, children, and communities, which has an impact on all the SDGs. And this brings me to the UAE and the leadership of Dubai and their commitment to the SDGs. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, is committed to guiding the country towards a sustainable and inclusive global economy. Since 2017 is a year of giving, national efforts continue to contribute to the enhancement of an integrated framework that will spread the culture of corporate social responsibility across the country. Women empowerment is a priority on the agenda. We as DMCC have been doing significant work in areas such as responsible sourcing of gold with the Dubai Good Delivery Standard for refineries, working closely with the OECD, or our extensive leading work on diamonds through the Kimberley process. The UAE KP chairmanship focused on facilitating engagement with African countries through the Africa Initiative, which is a commitment to keep a hands-on presence in diamond-producing nations and to give Africa a voice in the trade. Our executive chairman, Mr. Ahmed bin Sulayem, in the capacity of the KP chair, was on site in 14 African countries. So what other meaningful steps has DMCC taken to move the SDGs forward? Well, first of all, reiterate our commitment. In August 2017, we became participant of the United Nations Global Compact. As you know, established in 1999 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, the UN Global Compact is a principle-based framework for businesses, stating 10 principles in the areas of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. The UN Global Compact and its signatories are deeply invested and enthusiastic about supporting the work towards the SDGs. And we're delighted to see all the excellent work being done by the African Network in Botswana. Our executive chairman and CEO of the DMCC attended the UN Global Compact CEO Roundtable and the UN Private Sector Forum in September this year. And some key messages emerged from the discussion, which we would like to share with you. In an interconnected, interdependent world, there's a need for moral leadership, which is about how to do the next right thing rather than how to do the next thing right. Investors do not yet sufficiently credit companies for their work to improve social and environmental results. And investors need to review their valuation metrics to take into account the progress that businesses are making towards sustainability. Sustainability reporting is getting better, but more engagement with the investor community is needed to ensure alignment around data reporting and metrics. Increased transparency is key to making fair evaluations on how companies are contributing to the SDGs. And finally, as we heard often today, partnerships are key to driving the SDG agenda, and partnerships need to be engaged with a joint purpose, public-private, private-private, so it can take off faster and deliver measurable progress on the ground. We need enhanced connected thinking as part of our Made for Trade vision. DMCC is home to many of the world's leading corporations like Colgate-Palmolive, Alcatel-Lucent, Nutricia Danone, Dyson, Duracell, and hundreds of SMEs. With growth comes greater responsibility. By committing to the Global Compact, we are starting our journey to enhance awareness and report on the progress. The first step in the process must be to share our vision in a way that inspires leadership and that activates employees and member companies alike. There's an opportunity for everyone to become involved, as champions, as pioneers, as learners. Today, we have a talented pool of over 350 people from about 50+ countries. This is a great diversification that we embrace as an organization. And women empowerment is a strategic priority in our HR policy. Our dedicated DMCC teams, in partnership with our member companies, can be a facilitator to drive the CSR agenda forward. And the next step in the process is to share the vision and continue to build strategic partnerships in a way that inspires leaderships and activate companies to become more involved. Enhancing strategic partnership and building a hub of innovative expertise on corporate social responsibility is our priority. Materiality matters. Where can we have the biggest impact? What are our priorities? CSR is a long-term focus. Next month, all our departments will therefore undergo GRI training, which will help us to understand what matters to DMCC and how we can define key priorities according to an international recognized framework. How can we enhance key partnerships across industries? We cannot do it alone. In this context, we are proud that we have signed an MOU with the Responsible Jewelry Council. The MOU with the RJC has marked an important milestone for us, one for many to come, that will contribute to the quest to enhance a better future of trade for all, and we're proud to lead this process in the UAE. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, growing DMCC into the world's leading free zone and one of the top global diamond hubs in the world took strong leadership and commitment and partnerships. We strongly believe that in order to provide balance and to enhance the fair trade of diamonds, a much debated commodity, we need a global network of experts and critics alike to support this quest. Although a challenging journey, the point I'm humbly trying to make is that success fosters success, but never in isolation. And innovation is happening, so we must embrace it rather than dismiss it in order to keep our competitive advantage. And we at DMCC, we look very much to act and collaborate with everyone in this room to unlock new opportunities and solutions that will lead to a sustainable success story for us all. It is in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. I count on all of you, and thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you, Iris. By the way, at the after lunch, all 5 of this block speakers, all of the 5 of the speakers you're hearing now, will be in these chairs, and we're going to have a conversation and maybe even a little debate about some of these things. Next up is Jean-Marc Leiberherr, who is the CEO of the Diamond Producers Association. He's going to talk about the marketing piece of this, particularly the work that DPA has done and the challenges it faces in trying to win the hearts and minds of the younger generation of diamond buyers. Please welcome Jean-Marc.
Thanks, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure to be here. Thanks to DMCC for having us. I always feel comfortable in Botswana for a couple of reasons. One, because I share the love for diamonds and the love for the diamond industry that you all have. And second, maybe secondary, I happen to be born the very same month that the Republic of Botswana was born. So I hope that diamonds will continue to make us both respectively prosper over the next few years, and a lot of that is going to depend on our ability to win younger generations, younger consumers to diamonds. I think we've said before that everything starts with the consumer, and our ability to bring to the market and keep in the market younger generations is going to be key to the ability of the diamond sector to prosper. Now, some of you might have millennials at home. I've got quite a few. I know a few things about them. I'm talking to them a lot. Number one, they're very well informed. They're probably the better informed generation ever. So meeting their expectation, winning their minds is a challenge. Two, they think with their heart and they buy with their heart. Everything that they do, especially when it comes to purchasing non-essential goods, is driven by their hearts. So we've got to win their minds, we've got to win their hearts, and it's completely different from winning the hearts and minds of previous generations. So I'll talk a little bit first about the Diamond Producers Association. We are an association of 7 mining companies that was established at the end of 2015. I'll name the 7 members: DMCC, Arosa, Rio Tinto, Dominion, Petragem, and Ukara. And I'd like to really recognize the role of DMCC here in setting up this organization and really playing a critical role in starting us up back in December 2015. The role of the DPA is by nature a long-term role. think, we talked earlier about the horizon of the investments that are being made in mining. As you know, we're talking about really generational investments. So the DPA mission is by nature a long-term mission, and our role is to ensure that we sustain demand for diamonds for the decades to come, that we sustain consumer confidence in diamonds and in the sector, but also that we're a driving force in making continuous improvements along the pipeline and in particular along sustainability dimensions. We are fully funded through membership dues since the middle of this year. We now, for 2017, received $57 million of membership dues from mining companies. That shows to you the level of investment and the level of commitment that the mining companies have towards the long-term sustainability of the sector. When I talk about sustainability, I'm talking about the whole ecosystem, sustaining the whole ecosystem that all of us are part of, which is really important. It has lots of different dimensions. It has obviously a financial dimension, but as we've been talking about today, it has a human dimension, an environmental dimension, but that's basically the role of the DPA. We also get, and I want to recognize it here, $2 million of support from the Indian Gem Jewelry Export Promotion Council, and really the objective is to make the DPA and its programs really an industry initiative, not just a diamond producers initiative. Our first focus has been to develop a new category marketing platform, a new promise for consumers around diamonds. What is it that diamonds are going to bring to the life of consumers, of especially younger consumers, that say Diamonds Forever has been bringing to the life of consumers? Think about the post-war era, coming out of 2 world wars, the promise of timelessness and the promise of forever, was very powerful, and it still is powerful, and it's really been the big thought that has carried the diamond industry for the past decade. Now, younger generations have also other aspirations, and they've got other needs. And the marketing platform that we've developed, especially minted for younger generations, is Real is Rare, Real is a Diamond. Now, the idea behind Real is Rare, Real is a Diamond is that we as a product, as an industry, are sitting on a billion-year-old miracle of nature that has no equal on this earth in terms of being something that's natural, that's authentic, and that's not been altered for billions of years. So what better than a diamond can be the symbol of what's authentic, genuine, sincere, and precious in our lives, of which, of course, the first of which, of course, is our key relationship and our love. Now, it is a powerful promise, and it is based on real insights gathered through research with millennials, but it is also a very demanding promise. In terms of the insights, this is based on, first, millennials don't relate to diamonds the same way their parents did, and they say that to us. At times, especially in the US, they start seeing diamonds a little bit too associated with the rituals of marriage, the rituals of giving a diamond, and they tend to forget a little bit what the underlying meaning, love meaning is. And what they're saying is, basically, we're looking for meaning. We're not looking for a social ritual. They value experiences and meaningful relationship. In this world of internet, of disincarnated connections, the more they live in this world, the more they're actually looking for something that's genuine in their relationship. They're looking for fewer, better, more authentic contacts with people that matter. And interestingly, millennials love the idea of diamonds as a billion-year-old natural product of the earth. When we talk to them about where it comes from and how it comes to this earth, they really relate to it as something that's authentic, that's meaningful, and that they aspire to owning. So Real is Rare, Real is a Diamond really makes a parallel between the authenticity and the timelessness of the product and the authenticity of the underlying relationship that you express with a diamond. Now, it's more than that. It's also a commitment for us all to live in a sincere, authentic and genuine manner in the diamond sector. It's a promise of transparency, it's a promise of love, but it's also a promise of authenticity, and it puts a lot of obligations on us as an industry to live up to that emotional promise. So how we've been bringing it to life, we created our first US campaign in October 2016 with 3 films which have been aired on in digital channels, through social media, and of course in TV as well. 5 prints, and all this supported by a whole integrated communication campaign around the authenticity and the sincerity and the preciousness of a diamond. Now, it's really difficult today to talk to millennials, I'm talking about the US in particular now, without bringing the millennials into the conversation. They're very skeptical, they're very cynical when it comes to us big mining companies telling them about our product. They want to hear from their peers. So we've got to, we got to talk to them, and we got to talk about them. We can't just talk about our product. And this is just one of the 3 ads that we've been airing in the US. That's been very successful, tested really, really well. We're coming with a second campaign in the next couple of weeks, but let me just show that to you.
We made a promise to be honest to a fault, and it was wild, but also kind. There was a moment in there that goodbye was inevitable, and I realized that my heart was tired, and maybe just not in this anymore. But I couldn't give up on you. Not because of our time together, but because you make me more honest. You make my lips stutter when they start to tell a lie. And some days the truth feels scary. But you're always by my side, promising everything will be okay. Maybe we don't have it all figured out right now. But I will spend my future with you, and I will be honest with you. And it will be wild, it will be kind, and it will be real.
Right, so we need a very different message, and we need a very different tone from the one that we've adopted in the past. I mean, you see that this takes place in natural settings, so obviously that is an homage to nature, but we also portray a relationship that's a real one. You know, gone the fairy tale relationship, the prescribed cliches, and we've got to be real, we've got to be authentic, and we've got to talk to them to things that they can relate to, or we're gonna miss them. And as I said earlier, we also got to use their voices and their peers to talk to them. And this is an interesting example of a young couple. Let me introduce you to Jeff and Gabrielle Conte. They are 25-year-old. They are young musicians in the US. They have 5 million followers. Very, very successful. We partnered with them with the MTV TV Award. And we played our commercials as well as these both during the TV airing and on social media. Now, the discussion with these guys went along the line of, why should I do anything with diamonds? That's how it started. We had to convince them of what the industry does. They were very conscious about not only them personally being involved in promoting diamonds, but what would their followers think. And it took some time to convince them. And eventually we did, and they decided to support us. And these, I'll just show a few of the films.
Nice. A little something to make you sparkle.
They're beautiful.
Our journey is authentic, precious, and singular.
Just like a diamond.
So in this case, we're successful that they accepted to work with us. I just want to share with you another case. Recently, we're working on our second campaign. In one case, we wanted to use a registered track. So we went to the band and we started negotiating, and everything went well until the last minute. The lead singer said, sorry, but I'm not supporting a diamond ad. So we went to them, we made a whole presentation about the reality of the industry, and he said, you've won me over, but you've not won over all my followers and all my fans, and they wouldn't understand. So you win them, and you win me. And we had to go and change music, goes to another one. But these are discussions that happen all the time with my team in the US and young consumers. So we're capable of winning them over when we explain the reality of our industry. But there are many misconceptions out there. And most consumers, when you start asking them about what they think about the diamond industry, they're 15 years back in terms of their understanding of the reality of the sector, if not 20 years back. There's been a huge gap in communication about the reality of our sector that has, as you all know, made significant progress over the past 15 years. And we need to reset the clock and explain that while continuing on the journey, because obviously standing still is not an option, as we've been discussing today. But I'd just like to share with you that there is a piece of context as well that's really important for all of us to bear in mind, because it's not been mentioned, which is the way that the synthetic diamond manufacturers have been marketing their product. And we've seen sustainability really so far as diamond miners as a license to operate. We've got to operate sustainably or we won't be able to operate. They are using sustainability as a marketing argument. When you ask young consumers what they think about diamonds, you can really segment them into three groups. You've got about 15 to 20% who say, I'm never going to come close to diamonds. We've kind of lost them over the past 10 years, let's put it that way, by not communicating. You've got 30, 35% who say, we love diamonds, they're beautiful, they're great, they would just buy them regardless. And you got 50% in the middle who are ours to lose. And these guys want to be convinced that they should buy a diamond and why they should buy a diamond. And they're susceptible to falling either way. And that's the reality of the people we're talking to. 80 million millennials in the US capable of buying a diamond, 40 million of them in that category of, I'm not too sure, I want to be convinced. So we've got to talk to them differently. And I want to share a little bit our experience trying to talk to them differently. Obviously, we try to talk through the press. So, we've got a great story. The story of the reality of the industry today, sustaining 10 million people worldwide, the work that's being done here in Botswana, the way that the whole Botswana economy and society has built on the benefit that a well-managed resource of diamonds has brought to the country. There are lots of great stories, as well as all the work that's being done to further improve. Now, when you go to the press with that and you say, guys, we'd like you to start telling the real story of the diamond industry, they tell me, your story is dog bites man. I'm not interested. I want to tell the story of man bites dog, and that's the synthetic story. Very few people out there, media, are interested in telling the story of the diamond industry and the way it is today. And we're doing a lot of work to try to find our voice and try to find our tone to talk about the reality of what's being done, as well as the work the journey that we're all on. These are just some of the efforts that we are making at the moment, and that's very focused on the US, whether it's reactive to articles out there in the press or trying to bring a reality out there that's not necessarily known. So I don't know if you can see the one in the middle here is a story we're working with the New York Times on. We've taken them to Northwest Territory mines recently, 3 mines, and they're going to come back and tell the story of women in mining. Well, so happens it was convenient. So I hope we can do another one in Botswana and Southern Africa soon. They're going to come back and tell the story of women in mining through profile stories. It's really important for us to be able to bring to the fore the communities, the people who work in this industry and can tell the great stories of what it is to work to work in the sector. The one at top right here is a program we're working with National Geographic on, which is going to tell the beautiful scientific story of a diamond and what a natural diamond brings to science. The one bottom right here is something we're doing in elevators in the US, which is basically bringing facts about the diamond industry to consumers in an elevator when they're captive. And we're targeting buildings with high millennial concentration. And we're talking about sustainability benefits. We're talking about, in this case, it's more how diamonds are formed under extreme heat and so on. There is a huge deficit of understanding of what diamonds are and where they come from. And believe me or not, but 60% of young Americans think that diamonds were formed 100 years ago in mountains. That's the reality of how far we are in telling the reality of our product and our industry. Now, talking about the next 6 months, first we're going to intensify advocacy programs in the US, and we'll be working with the trade in that. And that's really important. We've been talking about the need for several voices to talk about what we're doing and making sure that it has an impact. The reason why I focus so much on communication when we're all talking here about doing things is that I think that when the various actors see the impact that successful communication of sustainability programs have on the market, they'll create a real business incentive to further strengthen the reality of what we're doing. So I think there is a virtuous cycle in telling what we're doing, getting it recognized, providing an incentive to those who do it to do more, in turn telling the stories and so on. And so we're priming the pump here as DPA on the communication side to make sure that there are benefits, tangible benefits, business benefits in doing the right thing that are captured as early as possible in the cycle by the industry. It's really important as well that there is an alignment between what we're saying and what we're doing. These young consumers are looking for consistency. If they see that what we're saying is not aligned to what we're doing, it creates a huge perception gap that can be very, very costly for us in the future. Just so you know, we're launching our second Real is Rare US campaign in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to be on air on the 21st of November with 2 new films. We're launching our first Real is Rare Indian campaign with Indian assets based on Indian specific insights, probably on air on the 21st, so 16th of November in the US, 21st of November in the US through TV and social media. We're also launching a DPA Lite format, which basically is a communication package made of websites, e-learning for retailers, and press office and social media management for small countries where we don't operate directly with an organization. And we're going to roll that out in France in January, and hopefully we can roll it out to many more countries in the future in a light manner so that we can have a diamond voice, even though we don't have a DPA organization per se and a media program. Finally, we're launching our first Real is Rare Chinese campaign in April 2018. So we are a young organization. We're going full steam ahead with the support of our members. We've got about 8 employees right now. We'll have 20 by the end of February 2018, and we'll be stabilizing at about that level for a little while. We've got a great work to do, and we look forward to contributing to your prosperity and working with you on aligning behind making perception and reality align. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. That was really interesting stuff. So 3 down, 2 to go. Next up is Feriel Zerouki, who is the head of government and industry relations for the De Beers Group. Feriel's going to talk about some of the efforts that De Beers has made in addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. Feriel?
Gumela, ladies and gentlemen. I am so proud to be here today in sunny Gaborone. I hope I said that correctly. So today, the focus is sustainability in the diamond industry. And as my CEO said, there are many forms of sustainability: commercial, environmental, social. The list is long. But there are also many issues that create risk for all of these forms of sustainability. I always like to start off with this slide. Consumer desire is the only source of value for our business. Over 99% of the diamonds that we produce end up in jewelry. This is one main difference between our industry and other precious minerals. Diamonds are an emotional product. They're always used to symbolize important moments in someone's life, be it the commitment to a loved one or the birth of a child. And so it's extremely important that consumers remain proud to wear the product that they buy. And this is fundamental to what we do at De Beers. There are a number of risks to consumer desire for our product. Here, I illustrate some of the campaigns that we as an industry have had to deal with. These tend to be rolled out at a targeted time just before the Christmas season, which has a huge impact on the desirability of our product at one of the key gift-giving times in our largest consumer markets. Not good. And more, as Jean-Marc had mentioned, we have seen an increase in negative marketing where synthetic producers look to undermine our product and industry in order to promote theirs rather than promote their product on its own merits. They concentrate their efforts on highlighting that their products are made in America and provide a guarantee that there has been no human rights violations, and therefore they are conflict-free. They also illustrate to consumers the environmental impact of the extractive industries. But what do synthetic diamonds stand for? And how do they keep their value? Outside of the diamond industry, there are some serious global risks that will affect us all. These have some parallels on what we are here to discuss today. And I'll be showing you a very short film that illustrates the results of a survey run by the World Economic Forum of 28,000 young people on what the most serious local and global issues are. No. Not working. That's fine, we'll move on. So I'll give you some key stats. Over 767 million people live below the international poverty line of less than $2 a day. And climate change, in 2016, it ranked as the warmest year on record. And evidence shows that the Earth has warmed up twice as fast in the last 50 years than it has in the 50 years before that. These are serious issues that will affect us all. Now, it's not all despair. There are some great opportunities out there. There are great advantages in technology, and the world has moved forward. And most importantly, the launch of the Sustainable Development Goals provided the world with a platform where the government, civil society, industry, or individuals to contribute to creating a better, sustainable world. The SDGs are so important because they have set a transformational course for the future of human development. Everything about them is inclusive, from the public consultation, which is the largest ever recorded in history, to how they were developed and to what they actually are. They don't look to reinvent the wheel, which is a great thing, but instead they build on existing UN declarations and treaties, as well as the MDGs, making them a guiding force for all. The result is a universal language, a common set of standards which encourages global solidarity at a time when the world needs it most. This is why it's important to De Beers. It fits in with the spirit of everything that we try and do. So we saw this as a great opportunity to focus our efforts and those of the industry towards contributing to the most pressing issues globally. De Beers is in a unique position to drive this positive change using our existing partnerships, our leadership position in the diamond industry, as well as our best practice principles program. Now, for those of you in the room that don't know what the Best Practice Principles Program, the BPP, is, it is a set of bespoke standards that we cover over our own entities. They include social, environmental, financial requirements that De Beers has to adhere to, and we also roll them out outside across our value chain. So some key stats. In 2016, the program covered just under 3,000 entities, just over 345,000 employees that are directly involved within our supply chain across 76 countries. So we leverage the program internally and to our value chain partners to draw a line in the sand and understand where we are contributing as an industry. We did this by asking all of the participants about the initiatives that they're managing outside of their usual operational efforts, and then we mapped out the results. So our mapping has confirmed that initiatives across our value chain are currently contributing to all of the 17 goals. In fact, today we are launching the Diamond Dialogues publication that discloses the result. Didier, do you mind showing everyone? It should be in front of you. The diamond industry is working on great initiatives. Upstream, we are focusing on local procurement, infrastructure development, and beneficiation, as well as helping to diversify economies. We contribute to socio-economic development. Midstream, there are many great initiatives. For example, one site holder is empowering women in Tamil Nadu, India, since the late 80s by providing employment and development opportunities at its cutting and polishing factory. Historically, South Asia has had the third lowest female labor force participation rate in all regions globally. The company is now one of the largest employers of women in the industry in Tamil Nadu, with female staff accounting for 86% of its workforce. And downstream, one site holder company has supported the development of marine protected areas for so many years, currently covering 6 million square kilometers of the ocean. Encouragingly, we found that awareness levels across our own De Beers Group entities, as well as outside and within our value chain, was very high. As I said, we have drawn a line in the sand, and now we are ready to start our journey. As an industry, we have a huge amount to offer, and we can support infrastructure development, create new technologies that enable efficiencies, and help us reduce the negative impacts. As people, we all have a part to play, and we will all gain from a more sustainable future for our children. So I will end my presentation with this quote from President Obama. "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, and we are the change that we seek." Thank you.
Thank you, Feriel. Last and definitely not least, I want to bring up to the stage Fula Ngenge, who is the chair of the African Diamond Council, who's going to talk about the perspective of the African diamond producing countries. Mze.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard several diverse perspectives on upstream, mainstream, and downstream sustainability from a variety of diamond experts who we're happy to align ourselves with. I'll take this opportunity to briefly introduce you all to the intergovernmental perspective and overview on sustainability. The African Diamond Council is the official governing body for the diamond producing countries in Africa, so there are several interesting colors to our rainbow. It is through this particular mechanism that diamond legislation for each member state is effectively introduced and implemented. It is where we globally represent, successfully empower, and securely safeguard the interest of every diamond-producing country on the African continent. As chairman, it is my duty to develop continental policies that encourage the governments of African diamond-producing countries to collectively collaborate and work in harmony with mining companies, and also to ensure that they maintain a healthy respect for each other. This should be also considered at every stage, especially if we experience total sustainability at a global level. This is very important for us. The ADC attaches a great deal of significance to this particular diamond conference, primarily because it takes place right here in the backyard of our most important diamond-producing nation. The platforms that I will be participating on this week will certainly supply us all with a promise to benefit quite a few robust exchanges that I'm looking forward to after the lunch break. And they're scheduled to take place immediately after the lunch break. The subject of my prelude will place a lot of emphasis on sustainability from the perspective of the African diamond-producing nations. The trials that African diamond producers face are not only intricate, but also tend to fluctuate regularly in both proportion and scope. Since our common setbacks are mainly economic, environmental, and political, I shall briefly outline them without attaching any level of priority to any of them. Going back to total sustainability, it means nothing without a sense of science, economics, and a bit of innovation. Political sustainability typically involves elevated levels of justification through government channels, which can also be very time-consuming and be delayed in ways that we can't even control. It is not only detrimental to the stable economic growth, but is also self-reinforcing. It is a key factor that is dismissively affecting many African diamond-producing nations. It is certainly a consequential constraint to the improvement of the human condition within each member state belonging to our African Diamond Council. Economic sustainability becomes incredibly relevant when we discuss or talk about development as the focus. African diamond-producing nations are plagued by issues of mismanagement, theft, smuggling, money laundering, and this all contributes to a significant amount of lost revenue. While the ADC possesses many layers of recovery of lost revenue, it has become one of our top priorities. Environmental sustainability, for example, it currently happens to be one of our biggest challenges. This involves very uneasy discussions from mining companies who may not be genuinely interested in committing to the cause, and it's something we regularly confront and put on the table. Africa is home to 7 of the top 10 diamond-producing nations, and all of you are should be happy and fortunate to be in our top star diamond-producing nation today. Non-diamond producing nations are influencing a large part of our market. They have been long-standing efforts among diamond-consuming nations to manage and administer Africa's diamond resources, which is a task that's not always accepting in the views and the eyes of the African Diamond Council and its African Diamond Producers Association. While sustainability is not always the guide that African diamond producers use for economic and social policy making, we do understand the concept of it. It hinges more on cultural and natural characteristics more than anything. The African Diamond Council wants to ensure that sustainability does not ever become a misimplied idiom, a grave oversight, or a conceptual limitation inside organizational circles. We also have to ensure that it furnishes tangible benefits, not only to consumers. We don't always want to paint a beautiful picture. We like our consumers to know what the reality is regarding our industry. It's important for natives inside the African nations, alluvial miners, youth, and women, for example, inside our member states to benefit from this natural resource. When the ADC lends any type of significance to this terminology, sustainability, or the sustainability movement within our industry, we're basically communicating that there are more important things to us. The most important thing to us is human sustainability. That's our most important resource. I encourage you all to return after the lunch break, not only to witness these very robust exchanges that we're going to take place, but also to get involved and to encourage us all to collectively collaborate. Give these panelists a big round of applause, and I hope to see you all after the lunch break.
Great, thanks, Mze, and thanks to Barend and Iris and Jean-Marc and Feriel. As Mze said, after lunch we're going to sit up here and have a conversation about all of this. But for now, it's time for lunch.